Today I share your grief on the passing of Mrs. Esther Schwarz. Most regretfully, a long-standing out-of-state commitment prevents me from being here with you as we remember and celebrate her vibrant life and distinguished legacy. In my nearly half-century of public service, it has been my distinct honor, privilege, and pleasure to have worked in close harmony with Esther on many vital community and charitable causes. Mrs. Schwarz was a true and selfless leader who, when she saw a need to be filled, took swift action and always achieved positive results. Mrs. Schwarz was the loving matriarch for a family dedicated to assisting the less fortunate amongst us. She was a stalwart through her many great achievements on the City Council and through her civic association. Mrs. Schwarz also played invaluable roles as she ensured our children's educational needs were met, that our elderly and the sick received the necessary care they deserved, and that our community was exposed to the best in classical culture. The passing of Mrs. Esther D. Schwarz leaves a great void in our community. May God grant her eternal peace.
You know, a lot of times in today's society, we hear people lamenting, well, there's no heroes. There are no people that we can kind of look up to. I say that Esther Schwarz was a hero in our time, almost a legend of sorts. When you try to look at a person's life, a lot of times I try to use the word mosaic. It's different pieces to kind of all fit together and gives you the total picture. And when you look back at the life of Esther Schwarz, she certainly will live on, because every facet of her life, whether as a wife, a mother, a grandmother, there was nobody more loving and devoted to her family. That kind of course spilled over in raising her children in Irvington, being involved with the quality of schools in Irvington. And as we all know, Esther Schwarz never did anything half-baked. There was full commitment. Her involvement with the PTA, not just an ordinary member, but a person who aspired for leadership, both in her community, both on the county level, and of course as a committee chair on the state level, that subsequently meant a life membership in the PTA. She loved government, maybe not necessarily politics, but what she did in Irvington during her tenure, that goes back well over 35 years. Her reputation that was mentioned about by the rabbi speaks for itself. 12 years of commitment on the Irvington Municipal Council. Not content to be just a council member, she aspired for more. Taking courses at Rutgers University that qualified her to be a registered purchasing agent, and also her tenure as the business administrator in Irvington. It speaks for itself. Anybody who ever had any dealings with Esther Schwarz over the years recognized that they were dealing with a person who was truly committed to our town, had a high set of principles, morals, and was trying to do the right thing as far as the betterment of the people that she came in contact with. You look at so many of her community activities. She was ahead of her time, trying to do programs of food for the needy, trying to look at Irvington Head Start in terms of trying to seek out those families who have a lot of barriers as far as trying to get success, that she was willing to really get in there and dig in. A lot of times that work in terms of trying to rectify some of the wrongs is easier said than done. But she left a tremendous reputation in Irvington, all across the board, you name it. Service on Irvington General Hospital, service on so many different facets through our Esther Schwarz Civic Association. What was it all about? It wasn't an ego trip. It was about raising resources and assets to pour back in the community. That was her legacy as far as the Esther Schwarz Civic Association was concerned. I had an opportunity to know Esther in her role as the Essex County Director of Consumer Affairs. And what a perfect job that was for a person like Esther Schwarz. What it was is working with constituents who might have been wronged or shortchanged, and there was nobody more tenacious that would try to get in there and see what was right, and more important than anything else, do what was the fair thing that would benefit that individual, and at the same time look at making sure that the person who might have perpetuated that injustice recognized also their responsibility to that. So when you look back on an individual's life in terms of family, I think everybody recognizes her commitment to her religion, to her heritage, above and beyond serving as a teacher, trying to make sure that her family and those involved with the Jewish tradition understood what it was all about. My father came as an immigrant from Ireland. In a lot of ways, he talked about his heritage. And what I find over the years is that people who are proud of their roots have a tendency to be good citizens in their community. So all of this kind of all work together in terms of that mosaic I talked about as far as Esther Schwarz is concerned. Her love of her family, her commitment to her community, her involvement with so many civic and charitable causes, her devotion to her religion. Esther is not gone. She has to live on in the hearts and the minds of the people who are here and those who aren't here in terms of trying to set the standard what a public servant should be all about in terms of really doing service for their community. Esther, we thank you for those many, many years. I have the good fortune, I guess, to know Esther Schwarz for almost 40 years. And all of the different capacities that I worked with her, I came away that much better because I said to myself, here's an individual, here's a woman that wants to do the right thing. Irvington is better because of her efforts. Essex County is better, the state of New Jersey, and this entire community. To our family and the friends who are assembled here, it's my honor to say these few short words, but it's no really recognition of the tremendous work that she has done. Long live Esther Schwarz. Thank you.
Assembly Speaker of the House, Sheila Y. Oliver, representing District 34. And as she comes forward, I'd like to inform everyone that the State Assembly has passed a resolution mourning the passing of Esther Schwarz. And as well, the Irvington Township Council has passed a resolution mourning Esther's passing. And we acknowledge Councilwoman at Large, Levy Jones. And now, Ms. Oliver.
I would like to just share some of my reflections of Esther with you. Our life journeys converged in the early 1980s when I became a director of what is now called the Essex County Department of Citizen Services. and I was in my early 30s. Esther was probably a decade or so older than I, and I became Esther's boss. But there were some days when Esther was my boss. I early on developed an image of Esther in my mind. And those of you of my generation, the baby boomer generation, who watched television, you know that there was a program that came on that was called The Golden Girls. And I believed that Esther Schwarz was a dead ringer for B. Arthur. And there was never a time I could look at the Golden Girls and look at B. Arthur and not think of Esther. You know, many times people express to me that having the opportunity to serve as Speaker of the Legislature is such a magnanimous achievement for a woman. And I often retort back that there were many women before me who had a much heavier lift. And Esther Schwarz was one of those women who certainly, based on the era in which she was born, had a heavy lift in terms of making a commitment to being a woman of achievement and accomplishment. Tom Giblin said it best. There was nothing more that she loved than being able to solve a problem for someone. And she did that very well as director of the Division of Consumer Services. We had two Esthers that worked in that department. One was Esther Schwarz, the director, and she had a subordinate whose name was Esther Chernovsky. Esther Chernovsky was all of 4'9". Esther Schwarz, you know, was 5'8" or so. And we in the office would say, Big Esther and Little Esther. And there was such a rivalry between the two Esthers that it made for great lunchtime conversation. Esther did everything with tenacity. If she had to deal with an issue, she didn't let it go until she let it go. And our big boss was a man by the name of Alan Zalkine, and there was nothing more I loved than to see Alan get exasperated over the behavior of Esther. But Esther bossed him around as well. Esther was a pioneer, a Renaissance woman. Just think, a woman running a motor vehicle agency during the period of time that Esther did that. Have you been to motor vehicles lately to see what you have to deal with? She had she had a tenacity before her time, Renaissance woman. You meet a lot of people in life. You don't remember them all. Esther.
Dust returns to earth as it was, but the spirit returns to God who gave it. May Esther's soul be bound up in the bond of life eternal. Send comfort to those who mourn. Grant strength to those whose burden is sorrow. Creator of all life, who give the gift of your spirit and we are thus born. Take it in return and we turn to dust. Grateful for the many blessings in Esther's life. We seek comfort and light, O God, solace and strength. As we say, Amen.